Hey guys, my name is Maria Park, and this is Approach to Nerd. And in this stream, we are talking Jurassic World or Park. Same thing, honestly. I go back and forth. Camp Cretaceous season 3. I really enjoyed this series. I've loved it since season 1. I know a lot of people thought it was a little slower in season 1. Season 2 picked up everyone's interest a little bit more, especially when they realized that this series is connected within the canon universe. So definitely connected to Jurassic Park Fallen World. So very good series, and you'll always find different Easter eggs going back to either the original Jurassic Park novel or the very first movie. So there's always that kind of nostalgia from this series, and realizing that even though these kids are going through their own adventures in this camp and this island of Nobla that we all know and love, that it actually has a place within the universe. It's kind of cool. It's very cool. So quick recap. So if you remember the end of season 2, the kids basically, they've been going through a lot really since season 1, but they thought they found their rescue with these 2 adults that come to the island named Mitch and Tiff, appropriate names. They show up via a yacht. They have all of this gear. They give them food, let them stay in the tents. And then they basically show their real, agenda, which is they're basically hunters. They're trophy hunters for animals. So they take the heads of all the animals that they want to basically, carry around as trophies. And they wanted dinosaur heads. And so they hired, basically an ex-mercenary to take them to the island, not realizing the kids were there. So it was a whole thing to do with Darius and his group trying to trick them. What I love about this show is, even though it's made for kids, there are deaths in this. It's definitely Jurassic Park theme, because they do have people that end up getting eaten in this series. Luckily, not any of the main characters, because they have main character insurance, but there are deaths in the series. And we also had a death in season 3. One of the mercenaries that Wu brings over to try and get his research in his laptop gets eaten. Last season, Mitch and Tiff got eaten. I think another one of their mercenaries, and someone else got eaten on the island, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, it happens. And I think I want to say the female mercenary got eaten in season 3 too. So they don't hold back from death, is what I'm saying in this series, even though it's a kid's show. So happy about that. Now, let's talk about some things about season 3. So, like I said, quick recap. The kids are still trying to get off this damn island. They've made a raft. They literally have a chart of things they've tried, and everything has failed. It actually opens with them sailing off on a raft, and then a wave comes, and then they get basically knocked back to the island again. But they find Tiff and Mitch's yacht that they left. And if you remember, at the end of season 2, Mitch gets eaten by a T-Rex, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Tiff gets eaten by, what was it? A Baronix. It was a Baronix that eats her. And that's while she's on the yacht. So the reason I'm bringing that up is the end of the season, the very last shot, you see them on the boat, and they're getting ready to leave, and you see a door and it's jiggling, and you think there's a creature behind it, which could be the Baronix. It actually made me wonder, is the Baronix down there, and also is Tiff still alive behind that door? Because they focus on that door a lot. So like little shots and pans, because the kids basically were living their best lives for a little while on the yacht. They were having little parties and blah, blah, blah. But they ended up getting a hole in the yacht. So they had to find something to patch it up with. So I'm going to get to the thing that scared the hell out of me the most in this in a second. But I have nitpicks. So I have to say this, okay? One of the things I really needed to understand, and this has to do with when they're on the yacht and they're trying to figure out how to get out of there. And their goal is to go to Costa Rica, which I'll also talk about in a minute. So Kenji basically says we can go and get like this tarp or whatever on this like private resort type area. So they go there. Now, remember, he did not mention this place at all in season 1 or season 2, but all of a sudden he's got the hookup, right? And he's like, well, we can go get the tarp we need to try and make a sail, to try and get out of here, yada, yada, yada. So they're able to do that. They actually have like a little mini beach party. They did the same thing on the yacht. They also need to go and find a compass or some kind of something that they can use as a GPS because the GPS is busted on the yacht. So then Kenji says, well, we can go to my dad's penthouse. And I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, you mean to tell me when we were looking for food and we were trying to figure out how to survive, you had a whole freaking penthouse on the other side of the island and you knew it? And it is fully stocked. It's got everything. And even has a movie theater inside. What? Kenji, what? And I guess the reasoning behind this is, did anyone ask Kenji? That's literally what I could hear him saying. I don't know why anyone didn't say it, but I kept thinking, wow, really? So that was a thing for me. Kenji, I like Kenji as a character because he is flawed and he is lonely. His father cares more about making money than he does about him. That's what it seems. That's what it's made to seem. Even in the penthouse, when you see all these pictures, there's hardly any of Kenji. So I don't know what happened to Kenji's mother. I could have missed something and they probably said something, but I don't think I did. But, Kenji, I do feel bad for him as a character because he is made out to be the one that's kind of the slacker, the lazy one who can do good, who has leadership capabilities, but is lazy and doesn't want to do it. He's not motivated to do it. And I mean, it's interesting, but when he whipped out that penthouse, I was like, this whole time, this entire time. But it's like, now I know they've been going through a lot, so he probably didn't think about it. But I mean, I would think that he would have just mentioned it, even if they didn't think they had a way of getting into the actual, resort or the penthouse itself. He could have said, man, I wish we had a key. We can go to my dad's penthouse or something along those lines. I just don't understand why that never came up as an even conversation. My dad used to stay on this island and he had a penthouse. I don't know why we never got that. I'm just throwing it out there. All right. Bumpy is still absolutely adorable. The whole thing with Ben in this season is very relatable. This is a kid that has been scared of everything, allergic basically to everything, gets, left behind in season 1 when he falls from the, I forgot what they're called, the little glass, I'm going to call them ski lifts because they're not ski lifts, but basically drops to the ground and is alone. And then that's how he kind of meets Bumpy. And, Bumpy and him is basically them against everything. And he becomes kind of like Tarzan / Rambo in one. And he becomes this way and he's comfortable in himself and he likes himself like this, that he doesn't want to go back to the real world because he feels like he's found his home. And Ben's entire struggle in this season is him not wanting to leave Bumpy behind and also not wanting to leave the new him behind. And I love how they handled that. I thought that was really interesting. Sammy has gone through a lot. I mean, ever since, we kind of realized that she was spying, which she did not have a choice but to spy, but she was sent there to spy, to get information on the competitor because iGen is doing whatever. And, it's this whole thing. Manta Corp wanted her to get inside information on what was actually Dr. Wu and everybody was working on. And now she's kind of, I guess, in fear that because she never got the information to them, which quite frankly, I don't think she was intending to do after everyone figured out what she was doing and she realized, how wrong all this stuff was. But her family's farm has been in her family for like generations. And now she's worried that because she's presumed dead or whatever, she failed her mission. So she doesn't know what is actually happening to her family. She doesn't know what she's going home to when they do go home. And I love how that, she, convinces Brooklyn to go with her to research that. And they go back to Wu's lab and, Brooklyn's kind of still in that social media. I need to get, this information to get it posted first, but the game we play as YouTube, content creators got to make sure that trailer reaction gets up immediately or before the analytics says F you. And that's pretty much where Brooklyn's mindset is. And Sammy's like, no, I'm trying to help my family. You're trying to do this for you. And I love, there's so many different like character relationship development stories in this that it's very interesting. So the whole thing with Sammy and Brooklyn was very eye-opening. But I will say them going to Wu's lab to try and figure out information or get something to help Sammy blackmail, Manta Corp with, they discover of course, the most horrifying thing I've ever seen. It is called Project E750. And we saw it at the end of season 2. It was in this containment tube. And then when they, at the end of it, we saw that it was busted. When they go in, they see that it's busted after they watch the video of E750, which happens to be the Scorpius Rex, which is a hybrid with the scorpion fish and a bunch of other hybrids or other, dinosaur parts and blowouts. That's what I'm saying. They make it sound like Frankenstein. And quite frankly, it looks like Frankenstein. This thing is so horrifying to look at that even, when Wu was trying to get it in one of the exhibits, they said, no, it is too ugly and too frightening for that. So they wanted him to destroy it, but instead he froze it. He cryogenically froze it and then it escaped. So E750, the Scorpius Rex, it scared the crap out of me. And then what scared me more about Scorpius Rex is that it made a copy of itself asexually. I'm like, no, I can't handle this anymore. Like, it's time to get off the island because I just was in my feelings. And I'm serious. Indominus Rex was, Indominus was scary. Scorpius E750 is effing terrifying. I mean, it literally crawls around the trees and stuff. Like there's a scene where you see it coming and you don't realize there's another one like right around the corner. And the only thing that helps the guys, Darius and his friends, I'm calling them Teen Darius, is that they start fighting each other, which is interesting. Scorpius Rex makes a copy of himself and then he doesn't like it. And they're both trying to be territorial and alpha. It's kind of like what dogs do. And so I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, Scorpius Rex is truly frightening. He is frightening. And it makes you really think about Dr. Wu, because there's a point in the video when Brooklyn and Sammy are looking at it where the Scorpius Rex actually attacks him and scratches him. And they have this antidote. And it's a very good thing that they saw that, because when the Scorpius Rex comes for them, they use like Kenji of all people comes up with a way of using I think it was a battery or something like that to make an electric fence around the camp that they were in. And so when it came, it was supposed to electrocute him. But Sammy gets it shoots these little talon things and she gets hit with them. And so she's poisoned. And had Brooklyn had not remembered that there was an antidote, then she probably would have died. And this brings me to the next character relationship, who I ship, by the way, and that is Yaz and Sammy. I ship them so hard. I don't know why. I just feel like they would be a very cute couple, and we really haven't had a Middle Eastern girl and a Hispanic girl lesbian or queer couple together in a show. So I think that I remember, quote me if I'm wrong, that I remember seeing. So I think that would be really cool, representation wise. But right now they're still BFFs, but I don't know. I'm still shipping it hard, because I kind of feel like Yaz and Brooklyn are closer to friends. And I think her and Sammy would be closer to actually a couple. And then it's how I feel about it. But anyway, Yaz being the super athlete, she basically considers Sammy to be her closest and BFF, and she really bonded with her in season 1 because Sammy pushed herself on Yaz, and Yaz was a very big introvert and an artist, and she's an athlete, but she's very insecure about everything outside of being an athlete. So her artwork and sketches and all that, and Sammy just makes her feel really nice. So there's a scene also where Sammy says, I want to tell you something. And that's when she's trying to recruit, her to go with her to look at Dr. Wu's laptop, or find evidence, should I say. And of course, Brooklyn's like, you have a secret? Tell me what it is. Do you have a crush? Do you like Darius? Do you like Kenji? Is it Yaz? And I'm like, yeah, I feel like they put that in there for a reason, because I know the fans probably picked up. I don't know. Maybe I'm the one that ships them. I don't know. Maybe they did that for me. But I felt like that right there was an indication that may be the route they're going later on. I don't know. I hope it is, because right now nobody's really hooking up. They made it seem like Sammy had a crush on Kenji for a little bit, but that didn't play out. It also makes it look like Kenji's into Brooklyn near the end of the season. There's been plenty of times I thought Brooklyn and Darius were into each other, so I have no idea. And granted, this is Jurassic World, and I mean, these are like little side crushes and little side stories. It's not the meat of the story, but it's still cute. So I like the relationship aspects, and just sue me, But anyway, so Sammy gets hit by the talons, and then Yaz literally runs. I F you not. Literally runs back there to try and find the antidote, knowing she's gonna run through various, dinosaurs. And she does it. Even with the Scorpius Rex finding her. And the only thing that it keeps getting distracted by fire. So it seems to have affinity for fire because when it sees it, it stops and it runs toward it. So I think that's interesting. And why I think it's interesting is they noticed it in the camp. What saved them in the camp when he didn't give a crap about the electric fence and Sammy got hit, was that there was an explosion or fire. I think lightning hit something and it was like mesmerized and it ran towards it. And so Darius and Ben came up with the wonderful idea to use explosives to distract it while Yaz was running for her life. But they took effing forever. And when they finally did it, I don't know what it was. I kept thinking, Darius is all about protecting the dinosaurs at all costs, preserving, their habitats, which is great. But were they really not thinking about how many dinosaurs potentially they would be killing with the explosives? Or even like if there's anything active, like a fault line or a volcano, that it might just explode? I don't know. That's just something I thought about when I was watching it. I told you I was going to throw some stuff in there. But yeah, so Yaz was able to get the antidote. I don't know why, like as somebody who goes through lots of doctors and has been a caretaker, I know that you need to know exactly how many cc's of something or exactly the dosage to inject someone with something. I don't know how they knew to give her the entire vial of this antidote and that was completely okay and Sammy wasn't going to die, but she didn't. So, I suspend my disbelief. Yeah. So basically, season 3 also gave us some kind of turmoil. And what I mean by that, there were some relationships that were tested. And one of the ones that was really tested was Darius and Kenji. Again, I told you that Kenji has leadership capability, but Kenji also can be very lazy and very off-putting. And what I mean by that is Darius will give him assignments. Like I know Darius wanted to go and basically do a last trek of the island and see the dinosaur his dad loved and get pictures or at least sketches of it and be able to touch it because that's what his dad wanted to do before his dad passed from his disease. Very sentimental, very sweet. And they have, of course, the little walkie-talkies. Well, Darius went on and trusted Kenji to gather all the supplies and food they needed for when they were about to leave. Well, of course, Kenji was kind of slacking on the job, wasn't really like saying, hey, I got this, I'm responsible, blah, blah, and kept calling Darius. Even when they lost Ben, he kept calling Darius. So you can see that Darius was already kind of like, Kenji can't do this. And there's a lot of times within the show where Darius kind of feels like Kenji is a burden and Kenji himself feels like he's a burden. And then it does a complete 180 where they basically praise Kenji. Like Darius literally says, good job. And that's when he comes up with the electric fence idea, yada, yada, yada. But then it takes another turn. It's a roller coaster with these two when basically Wu and his mercenaries who are there on the island to try and find his laptop because he doesn't want to have to lose years of work. They take Brooklyn. They were using these vents to get in and out and they were able to take Brooklyn. So she slides the laptop to them. So Darius, and yes, they basically get away with the laptop. I think it was Yaz. It might've been Ben and Darius. I think it was Ben and Darius. Either way, they all get away with the laptop, but Brooklyn gets captured and they decide they're going to format the laptop, copy everything on the thumb drive that Sammy had that she was going to use to spy and take the data back, copy all the information onto it, and then format Wu's laptop so he couldn't use it anymore. Now, before I get further into the Kenji and Darius problem, another nitpick. When Sammy and Brooklyn were initially looking at all of these project folders on this laptop, and Sammy was there for evidence, why in the hell didn't they think to just take the damn laptop with them? Like, take it initially. That way, when they go to find said laptop, they cannot find said laptop because you already have it. No one's kidnapped, yada, yada, yada. But I guess for drama's sake, this had to go down this way. They left it there and then just went and told everybody what was happening by word of mouth. So they want the laptop back. So, of course, the mercenaries are going to trade, the laptop for Brooklyn. And Darius and them come up with this plan and they have 2 hours to do it. And Kenji's like, no, why were you prioritizing, this over our friends' lives? And I get it. But it's not like they didn't have a plan. They had a very intricate plan on how they were going to save her. But Kenji was so in his, paranoia that Brooklyn was going to be hurt or take or whatever, that he took the laptop with everybody knowing it and was basically treating it to them. And then a lot of stuff happened. And they ended up, nobody got the laptop. It got destroyed. But Kenji, the last thing, when Kenji and Darius are on the boat and, they're talking, he's like, we don't have, Kenji made it known that they have a problem, that he did not appreciate the fact that Darius cared more about keeping the information from everyone and keeping that laptop from Wu than he did about Brooklyn's life. And he said, I would never do that with friends. And I'm like, oh boy. So this is how we're going into season 4, animosity. So that was the thing. So we had that whole Kenji and Darius relationship. And then we also had the Yaz and Brooklyn. There's now, since season 1, it is not, and if you have not seen this show, you even know by season 3, there has been a little bit of annoyance. I won't say animosity, but kind of like Yaz doesn't take Brooklyn seriously. She thinks Brooklyn is just the internet girl. And Brooklyn, she keeps trying to talk to Yaz and Yaz is like, whatever, And I feel like they bonded a lot more in this season than they have in the past 2. So I did like that we got a little bit more of all 3 girls bonding and all 3 girls being, closer in this too. So we did get that. So I'm happy about that. Mal, something that I would like to say. Now, in the movie verse, I don't know if it was I don't think it was I know we had it in the novels. We had Sorna, and Sorna was in the novels. But I wonder, because they keep name dropping Costa Rica. The kids are on the yacht. They're going to Costa Rica. And if you read the books and you've seen the movies, then you know that Site B is in Costa Rica. So really, I think they're going from Nublar to Sorna. And I think that is going to be really effed up for them. So season 4 may be a lot darker because the seasons have been getting darker since season 1. I feel like season 4 is going to be the darkest. And like I said, all of these are tied in the actual, Jurassic Park / World universe. So yeah, if that's the case, the kids are sailing into something a lot worse and they don't realize it yet. So I am down for that. I don't know. It's just, I know that Wu was working for the Maserati Global Corporation, which is more than likely who he's still with because he was pretty much a lackey for them. And then he also was working for Hammond. So I think that there's a lot more hybrids out there. Wu is just shady. Dr. Wu is a shady character. He's brilliant, but he's shady. And he does things even though he shouldn't do them because he wants to do them. He wants to prove that he can do them. And that's why we have all the dinosaurs. And so the catch for him is if he hadn't created all of these things, there would be no dinosaurs. But at the same time, these hybrids that he made, like the Scorpius Rex, are not meant to be in this universe. And so it's just so hard to deal with that. And we've had a lot of different references to the movies too. We saw Blue. Blue aided them in the series, just like he did in the movies. And it's always nice to see Blue, especially since Blue does not pretend to be your friend. He wants to kill you because that's his nature. He's a predator. But when you show him a little bit of loyalty, he growls at you and lets you live for a little while and then goes away. And exactly what he does in season 3. And I like that. I like that about him. Blue is awesome. So I have no problems with that. But yeah, season 3 was really good. I was engaged. I binged it. I watched it back to back, in one sitting because I really enjoyed the show. And I am so looking forward to season 4. My biggest fear is that Netflix is just going to say, nah, we're just going to cancel you because that is what they do. I just learned they canceled Jupiter's Legacy season 2. We're not going to get it. So that's a bust. So whenever you get really into something on Netflix, you got to be careful because it may go away. And that is what they do traditionally. And it irritates me. So if they do that with this series, I don't know. I'm going to have to boycott. But definitely love the series. Just a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of little things that I had the tiny little nitpicks about, like the penthouse thing. It is a thing. I just want to know what's going to happen. And is Tiff alive as well? Because she did. You heard her screaming. It did seem like she did get eaten by the Baronix, but I don't know if the Baronix actually ate her. I mean, Mitch, I'm 100% certain the T-Rex chomped Mitch. She's dead. But maybe Tiff survived, and maybe she's locked in there with the creature, with the dinosaur. I don't know. But yeah, all right. So let's see here. Let's go up and see what comments you have, Yido. I still haven't watched Fallen World yet. I will tonight, though. Fallen World's good. It is good. Hap was a season 2 MVP. I agree. I felt so bad when Hap died, though. He sacrificed himself, and I was like I said, like I love all the vehicles they always get. Yes, they actually went old school and got the original Jurassic Park Jeep, but I mean, they had limos. We've got motorbikes. I mean, they've been living it up. If they could figure out how to work a helicopter, they do that too. Tiff still being alive is possible. Yeah, because I don't think they ever showed her. I have to go back and look. I think we just heard her. I don't think we saw her get eaten. So that is the difference. Hey, Jedi, just dropping by to say hello, nurse, enjoying the show, and remember, love, peace, and soul. Oh, well, I know you're probably gone now, so hello. I think the reasoning behind Kenji remembering that resort at the last minute is because Brooklyn discovers her security card works on most locks. True, but you would think still, I think I said this earlier, you would think that he would at least mention it. My dad used to stay on this island in his penthouse. It's a thing. I really dislike Ben this season. Ben was annoying, but I got it. I mean, for somebody who has been literally afraid of his own shadow his entire life and then was forced to overcome it. And then you take him from the environment he adapted to where he feels strong and confident and tell him he has to go back to his life where he feels less than. I get it. I get what was wrong. Plus, he bonded with Bumpy. And if Bumpy hadn't have found, parents, I don't know if he would have made the decision at the end to go with them, because he does. He goes with them. But it was like a last minute thing. He ran back to the thing. And I was thinking, what if they had just taken you at your word and just said bye? But it's a thing. Yeah, it's also a great bonding episode with Brooklyn. This is true. I think they're really becoming friends now, I think they're all just really, really close. And the thing that got me, that was sad to me was when they were talking and then they were saying, well, we're not going to be friends after we leave here. I mean, we're not even going to be able to see each other. We live across the country from each other, so how can you be friends? And so when Yaz makes that speech to Sammy that they're not BFFs and Sammy gets upset and then she gets hurt, that motivated Yaz more to go and save her. And I thought that, and you saw all the flashbacks of them being friends in season 1 and what happened in season 2. I thought that was really cool. Brooklyn seems to as well. She asked Sammy if she has a crush on Kenji. Yes, she did. She's like, do you like Darius? Is it Kenji? Is it Yaz? And I'm like, she was inclusive, so I was happy with that. I think there was a flying dinosaur nest up on top of the path. I think there was too. And they're now dead because of those explosives. Kenji is definitely being unfair. He regularly endangers the group with his antics. He even unwillingly released Scorpius Rex on the island back in season 2, so he's been pretty hypocritical. I do agree with that, but I also see it as he finally has people that he cares about. You can tell that he is neglected. His dad neglects the hell out of him. You cannot tell me that his dad, with all of this money and all of these connections, did not send people to this island. And remember, the kids have been on this island now for 6 months. You can see stubble on Kenji's face. They've been on that island for 6 months. You mean his dad didn't send one team to go make sure his son was alive or dead? He didn't want to recover the body. I mean, that makes 0 sense to me. So I feel bad for him in a way. In season 3, he also loses the compass because he didn't listen to Yaz and Darius, but I still like Kenji a lot. He seems traumatized after almost losing Sammy to the Scorpius Rex. Yeah, he did. Because he's never seen anyone die. It still makes me wonder where his mother is. Blue, the rapper from Jurassic World movie, seems to trust Darius now that the kids lifted the Jeep off of her. Yeah, she was like, oh, okay. But no, if you look at Blue does things like, you help me, so I will allow you to not be eaten by me. That is your reward. Let's see. What if the door shaking in the yacht was Blue? We never see where she runs off to after the Scorpius Rex dies. Possible, but I don't think that she opened the door. That door has been closed the entire time. Like, they were partying and they kept focusing on that door. And then finally at the end of the series, it starts wriggling or whatever. I just don't know why it never made noise the entire time the kids were partying and letting off fireworks and stuff. So that's a weird thing. No one gave hat parting words or a eulogy. I was expecting Brooklyn to mention him at least once. Yeah. A lot going on, I guess. We never see Tiff's body on the yacht. True. The one thing I disliked about Ben was that he kept running off without telling anyone twice. It's because I think he's still in his "you guys left me" mode. I fell off. You guys thought I was dead. I had to survive on my own. It was just me and Bumpy. I don't ask permission, and I never had to ask permission because it was just us. So I feel like he doesn't feel like he needs to ask them. Plus, remember, at that point, Ben was not intending to leave that island. So he didn't feel like he had to tell them a damn thing because he wasn't going with them. It wasn't until the very last minute that he changed his mind. So, I don't know. I definitely like Kenji. It would be more upset with him. I'd be more upset with him if I didn't see where he was coming from. Yeah. But it's just strange that no one has called him out on his antics. I agree. I feel like they should. Well, Yaz does. I feel like Yaz has called him lazy, and she does say things, and she does kind of talk down to him a little bit. Maybe you should try doing this. Do you need some help? Yaz is my favorite character. If you haven't figured that out. Bumpy was the saddest moment of season 3. The kids should have taken her with them. I know when they first left on the raft, and he was, Bumpy was just like. It was so sad. But I was actually happy when they got shipwrecked back on the island. And they did try to take Bumpy on the yacht. Then the helicopters came. And then after that, Bumpy had a family. So Bumpy didn't need them. And I will say, I love when the Scorpius Rex was trying to get Bumpy and all of the adults were around Bumpy. And I thought that was very cool. They were really strategic with that. I thought it was very, very cool. Yaz is mine. I also really like Brooklyn, Kenji, and Darius. I love them all, but I think I have a preference for Yaz. I don't know why. I just think she's cool. But like I said, season 4, I think is going to be a lot darker. And it's supposed to tie in also with the next movie. If I read the article correctly, when they interviewed the creators on the Netflix series. And so that means that whatever happens, I don't think season 4 is going to come out before the new movie, but it might. And so I think whatever happens in that series is going to be, a catalyst for what happens in the movie or vice versa, but they're definitely going to be connected. So I am super excited about that. Wu had a streak of innocence when he was trading philosophies with Brooklyn. Yeah, well, he kind of had a little bit of a conscience too when they were talking, because he is a science person and he's so cocky with his science and his creations. He doesn't realize that, like in the book, it says just because you can do something you shouldn't. Yeah, that's how Wu is. Wu's kind of like, I need to prove that I can do it because I need to prove that I am the best. And that is not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to use science for the benefit of man, not basically to prove that you're good at it. And that's the problem that I have with him. Wu legitimately thinks his work is all benefit of humankind until Brooklyn pointed out how many people were hurt by his experiments. Wu doesn't have a response to that because he knows he's doing it. Even in the movies, it's more ego. Just how he talks, it's more ego than anything else. But at the same time, I'm not saying he wasn't originally motivated by that. He's just very, very cocky with it. It's kind of how I feel about all the doctors I see. They're very cocky. When you ask them questions about, even if it's about your own health, they take it as a challenge. Are you challenging my knowledge? Are you saying that what I told you is not accurate? Yada, yada, yada. That's how I look at Dr. Wu. I look at it as a man who is exceptionally brilliant, who managed to bring all of these dinosaurs back from extinction and let them live on this island and basically, be able to coexist and make an environment where humans can go and visit these, animals. And then took it a step further with the whole mad scientist part where he said, oh, well, I was able to accomplish this. What happens if I merge these together? What if I made these together? What if I took these 2 aggressive animals and made hybrids out of them? And it's like, what would happen with this? And there's no cutting off point for him. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think the most tragic character in this series is Toro the Carno. Yeah. I can see that. He's just being a carnivore, but he's gotten beaten up and burned season 1 and 2. I mean, he is doing what he's supposed to do. And I will say that there's a lot of carnivores on the island that Darius and his friends have actually saved at the risk of their own lives. So there's that. Kenji teased him in season 1, didn't he? Yes, Kenji did. And you got to feel, like I said, I think every character in this series has a trauma has an issue, has something to overcome. For Kenji, he's neglected by his dad and his mom or his family. For Darius, it's basically grieving over his father because he was supposed to come there with his father, but his father died. Sammy's is their family needed money to save their farm / ranch, whatever. And, she basically had to become basically a spy for the opposition in order to save her family home. Yaz seems to have no social life and no social structure in terms of how to deal with other people. She's all hardcore. I'm an athlete. I have to win. I have to be the best mentality, not realizing that you really don't. You can be. You could be bad at something. You could be weak at something. You don't always have to be the one that carries the team. So she has that and kind of insecurity on stuff outside of her athletic ability. So Brooklyn is very insecure because without her camera and her social media account, what is she? And she doesn't know. And you can tell that is really bothering her, that she's been doing this since she was a kid, a young child. And she has no identity outside of this make-believe identity online. And that's really sad. And then let's see, Ben, we already discussed Ben. Ben was just someone who was scared to live life and was scared of everything and had to overcome everything when he finally was forced to be alone. So he had to overcome that. And now he's having to overcome the fear of going back to that. So he has that struggle. Yeah, it's just, they're all in their feelings. They all have issues. And I love that. So it's a very relatable show. Let's put it that way. Kenji is definitely one of my favorites. He better get over his beef with Darius quick. Yeah, I agree. Yaz probably had the best moments in season 3, racing Scorpius Rex. I love when Scorpius Rex was about to eat her, and she's like, well, come on, what are you waiting for? I was like, wow. Brooklyn also seems to have issues with her parents. The way she talks makes it sound like she doesn't have any. It does make it seem like she's an orphan. I don't know. That's a good point, though. They never really specifically say anything, but at the same time, they don't come out and just really talk about Yaz's parents that much, or Brooklyn's parents that much. But we do know, even looking at the photo albums and the little childhood picture that, Kenji drew, he is very lonely. And I would love to have more, exposition on the little picture he did draw when he was 5 years old. I would love to know what that is about. But, maybe we'll get something in season 4, because I'm still confused on why his father did not come out to find him. Because I know if it would have been my child, I would have had, all kinds of teams of people out on that island trying to see if my son was still alive. So I don't understand why this billionaire is not doing that for his child. And it's been 6 months. That makes zero sense to me. The island is still standing. It is not burned to the ground. There is a good chance that your son is alive. So that tells me right there, you probably don't give a crap. So that's a problem. I feel like we know the least about Brooklyn when compared to the other characters. Yeah, I think they all have secrets, but definitely Brooklyn has the most. Darius also had a great moment finally observing the Dilemma's dinosaur. Yep, his dad's favorite. I did love that. I love that every time he tried to touch it, Kenji would call and interrupt. I thought that was hilarious. That's what the show is. It is absolute enjoyment and crack. And there's, like I said, I'm really hoping we get season 4. I hope Netflix does not pull I need to cancel you. I will be so upset if they do that, because that would be pointless and stupid. But that's just my opinion. All right, but we're almost at 40 minutes. And I think that overall, like I said, season 3 was a gem, much darker than season 1 and season 2. So I absolutely love everything about this season. And Yido, thank you for being in here, and whoever else is going to be looking at the stream later. If you have any comments, concerns, questions, or theories about season 4, or just an Easter egg I might have missed, or anything that I might have missed in, our wonderful series, please let me know in the comments below. Also, I will be doing a Lucifer 5B stream. I'm going to try and get it for tomorrow night. Fingers crossed. We have a horrible weather. It started raining this morning. I'm hoping it doesn't knock our power out, because my building is old and so things happen. If it is a power outage, then I will be moving the stream to Monday, which will cut it close, because I also have Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow, unless I push that over to our regular Arrowverse Tuesday, which might happen. We'll see. But yeah, be on the lookout for more stuff because it is coming, guys. And again, have a very, very good night or day, depending on your time zone. I will see you either tomorrow or Monday. Bye, guys.